Well, I'm sorry to report that the silly times are over. No more comedy allowed.
Wait, these were silly?
Yes, the silliest of silly symphonies. We're going to actually be starting with an alternate ending for the side quest with Socorro and Cleophas. If you remember, there was an option to just immediately end her suffering instead of going to like get the marks of refuge and all that.
Yes.
And this has one significant change over the fate of Cleophas, what he does after you do this mercy kill. Instant heart attack. Must have been Fox die.
¿Qué habéis hecho? Nuestra Señora.
Oh, I forgot there's extra dialogue here.
Puede que haya sido lo mejor. Había sufrido lo suficiente. ¿Es este un acto de verdadera caridad?
Interesting.
So something I'm actually realizing now, I forgot to record it, but there's a second a second phase of that. After you kill Socorro, you can find Cleophas in one of the jail cells in the Wall of the Holy Prohibitions.
Oh.
And it sort of implies that he wastes away there and eventually dies. However, there's also a separate achievement, but it does require going through the second refuge. So I did all of that stuff off screen.
Gotcha.
And also off screen, I have moved Redento over to the start of the patio with the silent steps, where you had the Amargura was blocking his way. And I did that very specifically because there is an achievement I mentioned before of getting two characters into the same room, and those characters are Redento and Cleophas.
¿Ha terminado pues la santa encomienda de mi señora? Penitente, ¿por quién velaré yo ahora?
So, if you remember when we did this side quest the very first time,
yes.
There was Ludovico, the guy in the church who locked himself in the church, and he gave us the cord of true burying. That is actually something we need to give Cleophas in order to establish the best ending for his side quest, because we found him in that one area on the Archcathedral rooftops, but on this playthrough we do not have the cord of true burying. And this has a significant change to how the end of this side quest turns out.
Oh, no, he's gonna jump.
He velado a su lado durante años. He sido testigo de cada uno de sus sufrimientos, de sus lamentos y de sus llagas, que sanaban y volvían de nuevo sangrantes en un continuo calvario. Ahora ya no lamentará más.
Cleophas says something similar if you leave him, or if he goes to the jail cell in the Wall of the Holy Prohibitions. These sound much more natural in Spanish.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, well, first of all, if we enter the room, Hipriel is back there, because this is also a map for the Amanecidas quest. But you may have been onto something with Cleophas.
Ah, I hate being right.
So now, the final step for his achievement. Make sure that you have the Linen of Gold thread equipped before doing this. But this is how we can get Cleophas and Redento in the same room.
Oh. Oh.
I feel so good for unlocking that achievement.
You know, some of these are supposed to be rewarding. Come on, guys. No, that's clever. That's very clever.
It is.
A little depressing, but clever.
Existe peor castigo.
And I think it also kind of emphasizes the loneliness that is inherent in Socorro, or in Custodia as a whole, because this is really the only way to get two characters into the same room. Is by tricking one into jumping them into their deaths. Like, I mean, yeah, there's the... there's also the... the Kisser of Wounds had a bunch of NPCs as well, but you can't really interact with them much.
Custodia, starring Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
And we are wearing the Game Boy costume that we got from Alcazar of Grief. Off screen, I have recollected, well, not all of the bones, because you don't actually need all of the bones to fight Isadora. You need 30 out of the 46. You need all 46 in order to complete the ossuary side quest, but that's not required for the true ending.
To actually get the boss.
Yes,
okay.
yes, exactly. And it also means that I get to show off an interesting detail that I didn't know about, because it doesn't really trigger when you dump all 46 bones onto him. But we'll see that in a few minutes here.
So many unique room designs.
Este humilde servidor os saluda, penitente. Bienvenido al osario de los que se...
Some of these were actually added after launch.
Yeah.
They updated the art. Like, for example, this room, the entryway to that was just a generic blue vertical slot that was used for all of the back doors in the game. And then later on, once they were able to recoup some of their costs, they went back and re-added the art that they couldn't the first time, which I think is pretty neat.
Yeah.
Unos a otros para poder revelar la verdad que aún guardan. Solo juntos.
Very long and storied development history on this game.
Yeah, as of this recording, Game Kitchen there's one other game they're working on, there's another they're publishing, and there's a third that's like a board game of some kind. So they are trying to be an indie publisher now that they have their money for Blasphemous 1 and 2.
So do we wish them luck on Custodiopoly, or...
Yeah. There you go. 30 out of the 46. Just enough to get Isadora to start singing.
¿Oís ya su canto? ¿Oís ya su antigua copla? La dama que les cantaba a los huesos ha despertado. Los restos óseos al otro lado.
Actually, with all the talk of bones, I feel like a better Blasphemous board game spinoff would be one based on Operation.
It's true. It's actually true.
So here's the detail that I really never... Well, I didn't get the chance because I didn't know about it. But we have collected 30 of the 46 bones. So if we leave this room and then come back... The guy running the ossuary will now be buried in... I think this is ash.
Oh, wow, okay.
And he does have various stages. His sprite changes depending on, X number of bones brought in. Again, that's something I didn't know about entirely, even when I was recording that.
The little touches in this, yeah.
So going into this fight, because remember, you can't pause the game during this fight, I brought Romance of the Crimson Mist, which we haven't really used that much, but it is particularly effective against Isadora, because there are lots of points where she just stays in one place, and it's pretty easy to have your hitboxes overlapping without there being a hurtbox effect.
Oh, look at that.
And keep in mind that this is the New Game Plus run that doesn't really... I have a maxed out Mea Culpa, but I don't have any of the special New Game Plus upgrades for magic or for Mea Culpa damage. So this is the baseline New Game Plus experience, and I'm still causing this much damage.
Wow. Well, that just melts her.
It really does, yeah. One minor consequence of this, though, is that I was not able to really get out of the way to show her death animation, which I probably should have gone back and recorded it, but whatever. You could probably get a decent idea of it, especially now that we know what the eye is that she had before. Yeah, so you remember that's one of the eyes of the traitor, from the fourth Visage.
Right. So that takes care of her. Clearly, you need that item for the DLC ending.
Yes, there are 2 eyes, and the other one is from a boss that was in Mourning and Havoc that we haven't seen yet.
Okay. So this game is still throwing us curveballs.
Also, much like the with the Bloodstained DLC rooms, if you try to use the Mirabras in this area, it won't work. I think it's because it's like a room that is completely isolated from the rest of the map, so it can't really process the data of trying to go back to the last Prie-Dieu. When you're in here, though, you can do it. So, in hindsight, perhaps I should have used the Tiento in my first run of Mourning and Havoc, but it made for good content, so I'm glad I didn't. Speaking of good content, I probably should have edited that out. I was trying to give myself some time for a cleaner entrance, and I forgot. But like by this point in the editing, I wasn't over it. I still liked the game, but
yeah,
there was it was getting to the point. This is on playthrough number 3. Which yes, I brought all this on myself, but still. So the Tiento is very useful in this area, especially with all the damage that is not really unavoidable, but it requires much more methodical play, even compared to other areas in the game that can be very punishing.
I'm still just gushing over a lot of these animations.
Yeah, so much like I tried to use the Debla to knock down that ladder, you can't use it. I think there's a glitched jump that uses like Coyote Hang Time. You might be able to reach that ladder if you jumped particularly. You can when using the glitch that I mentioned that allows you to fly anywhere. But I think with that particular jump, it might be just barely possible to make it, but I don't know for sure. Plus, it would rob me of the satisfaction of running through all of these enemies that gave me such a hard time. Like, this was... I mean, there were bosses that took me longer to get through than this, but in terms of, like, actual levels, this was probably the hardest part of the run, of all 3 runs.
You do get smacked around quite a bit in here.
Yeah. Plus, also having the nail uprooted from dirt helps a lot, because again, this is considered like the mud and muck that normally slows you down when you don't have that equipped. Also, look, 2 bits of damage there that are, if you try to plow through that without doing anything, that's like the damage is designed to be unavoidable unless you go around.
Devious design, yeah.
I can't say I know that much about Spanish naval history, so I mean I'm assuming there are other references to things that I just don't know about. But
I'm as lost as you are on that topic.
Yeah. So if you're playing this game, make sure you hit that Prie-Dieu before going into the next boss, and that's because the entrance to the boss room is actually way up in the top left of this map.
Oh, interesting.
This game seems to have a real fascination with having gauntlets just before bosses that the first time you go through basically guarantees that you'll be going there with low health and low fervor. But then that ladder I just unlocked, that makes a shortcut all the way up to there. So this boss uses lightning. So we're gonna add some rosaries with that. We're also going to be using the Cantinia of the Blue Rose, which is the prayer that we got from Miriam. Not quite yet though. We're gonna do that in the second phase of the fight.
I saw the gold under the black waters. That's an interesting line.
Yeah, that's the gold being the other eye that we're looking for.
Ah.
You might want to go with red bead of blue wax as well. And since I have that extra. Since I have that extra fervor regenerating item, you could just stand there for a few minutes and wait for it all to come back.
Ooh.
Say hello to Sierpes. This boss took me 4 hours to fight. By far one of the hardest. And I mean in terms of like its moveset and attacks, it's not especially that much more difficult compared to others. It's just that this boss has so much health.
Oh yeah, no, I see it basically doing chip damage here, yeah.
So yeah, this boss fight is gonna take a while. So the name Sierpes, in Spanish, Sierpes, probably the closest English equivalent would be a worm, W-Y-R-M, as in like the dragons that have more snake-like features to them. It is also a reference. There is a Sierpes street in Seville, and there is a local legend that claims that children who lived on Sierpes Street began to mysteriously disappear. I'm actually quoting more or less directly here from a tourism website. The fate of these children was unknown, and the city's regent investigated the case. This is where Melchor de Quintana y Argueso, a fugitive from justice who is hiding in the city's underground, comes into the story. One day, the regent received an anonymous letter from Melchor promising to identify the culprit behind the disappearances in exchange for his freedom. The regent agreed and was led by the fugitive to the underground galleries of Seville, where he pointed out a gigantic serpent who was responsible for all the disappearances, thus solving the mystery. The lifeless body of the serpent was displayed in the city streets for citizens to see.
Interesting.
This is the Cantinia. So basically Miriam comes out of another portal and does a massive horizontal attack that stacks the same way that Verdialis does. Seguridad.
Ooh.
Yeah, horizontal attacks like this are kind of weird against Sierpes because, I mean, as you can tell, this is on a slope. There are no flat surfaces in this fight at all. It doesn't actually affect combat as much as you would think in terms of being janky, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean there's nothing. Also, you can parry those lightning balls. Not actual lightning strikes, but just like the balls that get thrown at you.
So this is kind of the Ultima Weapon optional boss of the game. Unless you want the DLC ending, right?
Yeah, I mean it's story related certainly, but I wouldn't call it a super boss in that sense. But I mean it's certainly not required to beat the game at all. There is one, however, piece of jank. So during the times where Sierpes uses her tail, to like right there, if you go into the pause menu to switch out your equipment, the trail of lightning continues to home in on you while you're in the pause menu, which means that you'll open it again and immediately take unavoidable damage.
Interesting.
I have come to know this boss intimately because of how much time I spent with it. It really is just, I mean, I guess it's kind of like that one time I tried to fight one of the Amenestas really early into the first New Game Plus, where, I mean, all of her moves are pretty easily detectable and parryable. It's just it is a huge endurance test.
Yeah. It's an attrition fight, yeah.
Especially here, because now the other major gimmick, we're in a very windy storm, and the wind is now starting to affect our movements. So you can't stand still anymore to block certain attacks. Actually, that might be something in like the next phase of it, but it's certainly...
Well, there it went.
Yeah. Another one of Sierra's more annoying attacks is, like right here, when these bony scales show up, their hurt box is only at the top where the bones are. You can slide under them, but because of all the wind, it can be difficult to position unless you can accommodate for everything. Thankfully, this game did not, include any attempts to gamify water conducting electricity. This is rough enough as it is. You can also, that particular attack when he lunges at you, you can parry it when he's on the left side, and you can technically parry it from the right, but it's prone to breaking, where it will still hit you immediately afterward. I'm surprised how calm I am when describing the various intended and unintended intricacies of this fight, because it was not a good time. I complained a lot about it in our private Discord server.
Yeah. This is rough. This is 100% endurance.
And at this point, I was terrified because I had lost a few attempts this late into the fight. Yeah, it's like that one. The halfway grab is the one that's prone to breaking when you try to parry it. Thankfully, I was able to get him with a stinger.
Hey!
See, the Penitent one wanted to play Gotcha Nose, but snakes don't really have noses in the traditional sense, so instead he's going to take his eye. And this is an aspect, as the game calls it, the costumes, that's just for beating Serpis.
That's beautiful.
This came out in 2019, I think, which is also the same year that Sekiro came out, which also had a very satisfying snake boss fight in it, complete with a QTE to stab its eye. Anyway, we have both of the eyes of the traitor. So let's go back to that area in the Library of the Negated Words. There is, however, one item I forgot to pick up on the way to the Visage. And it's actually in a hidden area that is, as soon as you go through that door, it's immediately to the left.
Oh, that's sneaky.
Well, its placement might be sneaky, but the incorrupt hand of the Fraternal Master still works on it. As it does for pretty much every hidden area, except for a few that are glitched.
Yep. Hear the jingle bells.
So it turns out people in Spain really, really like Berserk. This is the Crimson Heart of a Miura, named after Kentaro Miura, the the now late mangaka who wrote and no, sorry, he illustrated Berserk. I don't think he was the writer. I really don't know Berserk that well. I assume this is like an extended reference to something in it, but I do know that. Sorry, go ahead.
I know it exactly well enough to know that if you read it, it's disturbing and depressing at the same time.
And we already have an entire video game for that we've played 3 times over.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's appropriate for this.
Yeah. What I do know at least is that I think a lot of the architecture within the world of Berserk is influenced by Spanish architecture from this time period.
Okay.
And this came out in 2019, which was a few years before Miura passed away. So this was not a memorial tribute. They just included it because they like Berserk. Anyway, there's the boss fight that starts the next video is pretty tough. So I think I was fiddling with my rosary lineup here or layout.
Just to get everything perfect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. I was I would think I was trying here to show. Okay, so the Miura, the Berserk rosary, the specific effect is that it increases your attack speed when your health is low. And this was really the only way I could show it off without actually going into combat somewhere.
Ah.
And I don't know if it actually affects, like, I don't think it affects your like generic swing animation as much as it affects the combos that you do in combat, but it's a bit faster. It gets faster when you're actually in a fight, though. Anyway, let's go give the fourth Visage his eyes back.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to the exposition for this.
Incluso en este lugar, bajo tantos suelos, me encuentro deslumbrado. Más bienaventurada sea la luz cuya intensidad ciega, pues tras ella siempre hay un germen de virtud. Encontrad mi otro ojo, penitente misericordia.
Okay, I'll be right back. This might take a few hours. Just kidding, it's right here.
Habéis recuperado mis ojos. Ahora puedo ver este terrible lugar. Prisión de lo que soy y lo que fui durante largo tiempo. Penitente, escuchad con atención. En las almas más fervorosas, en los corazones más devotos, habita la semilla que duerme a las conciencias, que controla la voluntad. Son unas cadenas de eslabones invisibles que proceden de lugares remotos, sagrados y prohibidos, donde moran las altas voluntades.
Oh my god, the high wills are real? I thought it was an inside job.
Desde que fui desterrado del sueño. Tomad, este es el corazón verdadero de vuestra espada culpable.
Oh, sword upgrade.
Well, it's pardon the pun, but it is kind of a double-edged sword as far as upgrades go.
Vuestra espada, para así romper lo que el milagro.
I think I might wait until the next video. Actually, it depends on whether or not I show it off, but here's the important part.
Grabada en su yelmo.
Okay.
Es la más ciega, la más recta e inquebrantable de todas. El alma de Crisanta de la agonía vendada. Y así la iráis, con la mayor de todas las heridas, la herida en el alma.
It will also add an extra phase to her boss fight.
Todas las heridas.
Ooh.
So the next 2 steps, we need to equip this new heart. I think I equip it in this video or maybe the next one, but it doesn't really do anything mechanically. It's a story heart. You need to have this equipped before you fight Chrysanta in order to show her the true path of the miracle. There is, however, a catch to this, which we will see in the next video, which is also the final video of the Let's Play. So the basic idea is that, well, there are literal and metaphorical chains that are blinding her from the truth. And we need to help her with that. But of course, it also means that when we do fight her, she will be much, much harder.
Interesting.
Right. So I'm not going to say anything further about the apathetic heart, but there is a catch to it, which we'll see at the beginning of the next video. This is when we're going to learn even more about the high wills, what they are, what kind of there seems to be some implications they can control the miracle.
They've been pulling the strings from the shadows.
Or the chains in this case, but yeah, it's the same thing. But yes, we will learn the truth, the actual truth that was added in DLC in the final video.